Good morning, you beautiful people. So, today's task, and by no means am I an expert on this, but continuing the build of making this from DIY parts in Works car park, we're going to turn this absolute mess of a garage into some sort of boot build. First of all, we're emptying the thing out. We're removing the last of black rock sands where we're tearing up and down the beach and generally just having fun with the vehicle. And then we're going to measure up, cut some wood, make some lockers, plan somehow how I'm going to do the doors, where they're going to be, where's going to be the most useful, and then we're going to go to a full 12-volt DIY Renogy system. I'm going to show you in a DIY way because there's been many people that have failed miserably at this and blamed everybody but themselves. So my mate Liam, he's a Renogy installer, Renogy dealer, so it'd be rude not to go to his workshop and show how he likes to do it, not how it's done with the supplied part. He's had a bit of a rant about this and he's going to show you how to do this properly, so make sure you subscribe for that one. So as you can see, even though I've got a low roof and my bed's lower than the average build, there's actually a lot of space in here. Look at all this more space! But I still managed to fill it with every piece of crap known to man. We're going to get the water tank in and look at getting the water pump ready and everything good to go. Also, as you can see, I've got a gas tank there. I would like a gas tank that goes where the spare wheel used to be, under the vehicle. You know, like the donuts that you get for the LPG and stuff. Can you get that as a gas it fill it kit? Answers down below, or can you tag me in someone or somewhere that does it, please? Right, so water tank bolted in place. This is not plumbed yet, but it is bolted in, which gives us an idea of how big this locker is going to be. Bosh. That wasn't a difficult job to do. It probably would have been a little bit better if I'd have done that before I trimmed the boot out. And that is one of my regrets for this vehicle, was spending so much time paneling, foaming, tweeding and making panels for the boot section, which in reality was a complete waste of time, and I would have been far better just buying a sheet of phenolic board, whipping it in half and putting half either side for everything to bolt to, which would have made a far more solid thing to bolt future things to. Yeah, it just would have been better in general. Lesson learned. On the next van, I will do that. So the water tank's in on that side. On this side, however, as you can see, we've got the diesel tank here for the night heater. Not everyone's cup of tea. A lot of people like to plumb it off the vehicle. I'm a weirdo. I like everything on board in the back, like the water that could be underneath. I like to see how much I'm using and not use the vehicle's fuel. Behind it is this temporary box that I made just to put the 200 amp Renogy battery and just a few little odds and sods. That's given me a rough idea of where things are going to go. So I think what I'm going to do now is make this box a little wider. Reason being, I want to fit all the Renogy control gear along the back wall of this cabinet, and then the Renogy battery in front of the bits that are not getting used, and that'll be the best use of space. Under here we've got the Bluetooth Chinese diesel heater, and on diesel heaters this is going to be an interesting one, because when I went to the Pyrenees Mountains in the off-road trailers, they had the Plan Air Autoterm diesel heaters in them, and oh my god, they are so much better. It was so much quieter. The fuel pump couldn't even hear it, which after years of using these ones I thought they just did make noise. And one of the key things that's always bugged me about these heaters is when they get up to temperature they go to tick over, which tick over when your vehicle's already warm means you end up cracking a window, whereas the Autoterm one actually powers down, and then when it gets cold it powers back up again. So you're saving fuel, electric, and not basically baking yourself in bed. Which leads us to, now there is a 5% discount code on Autoterm. Description down below. Anything you get off there, use that discount code and you'll get 5% off. On top of that, you're supporting yourself with decent product and supporting this channel as well, because I also get a little drink off that. I'll not bullshit you, I get a little drink off that, which then goes into getting more kit for this in preparation for the longer trips. So my not very glamorous assistant has turned up, and basically Tony's more of an engineer kind of person, so he insisted on doing some like proper digital displays, and if I do this it No, it doesn't look 3D at all. But now he knows what's in my head and what I was thinking. We're going to make 2 of these cupboards, so we're going to cut this jazz out. We're going to make these, swap them over, and then we're going to worry about shelves and cupboards. I also insisted on cutting all these first, and he's refusing to cut all these first and says we need to cut the wood first. We can either rock, paper, scissors it, or I can take his advice. We're working out what's the best yield out of the wood. I got 3 sheets. We're probably going to need 4 or 5 in the whole van. However, I reckon the first sheet is going to do the 2 big frontages and maybe 2 sides. The back one is going to be the rest of the sides, the shelves, things like that. And what would be lovely is if I can get the trim that goes over the bed. The last one, it would be nice if I can get my bed base made out of that, but that's not essential today. There will be also jobs like I'm going to make a table for the dashboard that sits in the cubby bits, because that always ends up a mess. There'll be the little bit as well that goes where the slide door is, the trim that's bothered me forever, where the step is, and a little box to keep maybe my recovery gear and things like that in. You can ask where you get this from. Basically, you can find this on eBay. However, a lot of the eBay sellers will have a disclaimer on that says if DPD or whoever kicks the crap out of it and chips it, dints it and all the rest of it, they're not liable. I found a company in Doncaster that dropped this off for 100 quid a sheet, so it was a little cheaper. However, this is more warped than my sense of humour.
Prepare yourself for joiners in the comments.
Oh god, yeah. They can't be as bitchy as welders though. Welding TikTok is a next level of bitchiness. Right, so basically what we're doing now is that's going to be the length of the cupboard, and that's going to be the height of the cupboard. We're going to have 2 of these, one for the electrical, one for the plumbing. So what we're doing, it takes a little bit longer. We did the first pass at about 1 millimetre deep, and that just breaks the surface of the plastic coating. I've done another run through that's about 5mm deep, and then we're just going to do this last run through and it'll come away. I know it takes a lot longer, but we don't have a tabletop CNC and all that jazz. We're working with the tools that we've got. So all I'm doing, it's not necessary. It's actually doing a pretty decent cut, this saw. It's very, very smoky because it's a fine blade, but because it's a fine blade, it's also not chipping away and all the rest of it. Just giving a little final plane just on the edges. It's, like I say, it's not necessary, but while we're waiting for batteries to charge up and stuff, it doesn't hurt. So we've got the 2 main pieces cut. This is the 3rd piece to cut. Once the batteries are charged, we've got that final cut there to do. And as you can see from the night before sheet, the only leftover bit is that slither there, this piece here, and that bit there, which isn't bad. That'll come in for other things. I'm eyeing these 2 bits up, and straight away I'm thinking my dashboard table. That leaves us 2 sheets, which I thought we'd have used more wood by now. Which one sheet can be the bed base, the other sheet can be the shelves and the fascia for the side of the bed. Happy days. I'm welding wood next. So that's the shelves of the cupboards done. We've got both the front pieces, we've got the 2 sides and everything. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to concentrate on this side of, I'm cutting the cupboard doors out. So the water tank comes to here, so I'm going to have a cupboard door here. Not quite sure how I'm going to do it yet. I'm thinking big external, big chunky hinges here, and then 50-50 whether I have a latch or just magnets, because this isn't something I'm going to use regularly. I'm thinking a little magnetic hatch there, because there's enough room to pop a couple of bits like recovery rope in up there, and then where the wheel arch is here, we'll probably have another little hatch. This is where I really need a friend with a CNC machine, but I'm kind of enjoying figuring this out, if that makes sense. Worst case, I cut this out, I make a pig of the middle bit and make sure that the outside bit's mint, and then what I can do is just cut another door out. But what I would like to do is try and cut this out absolutely neat as, router the inside and the outside edge of it, and then pop it back in again, which will give us that nice contrast between the black and the ply behind it, which I quite like when the LED's on it and whatnot. So all I'm doing now, just to get the radius, I'm using this technical 3-in-1 oil lid. It's a Mark 1 corner jig. And then all I'm doing is just making sure, see a bit of green on both sides, and just draw around. And I hope this gives one of you a bit of confidence to actually have a bash at this yourself, because by no means is this my trade or what I do. And like I said, there'll be wood butchers watching this getting really upset. What I'm going to do now, I suppose I could cut this out with a router, but I'm not that steady-handed and it's not something I'm good at yet. So I'm going to plunge cut with a metal bit into this wood, just because it's really, really fine, and I can then go down into it. Once I'm into it, I'm then going to use a fine, really, really, really small blade on the jigsaw, and then I'm going to go around and follow it all the way around back to the beginning, and then hopefully can put the router on that and it'll look pretty. 60% of the time it works every time. And that, I'm sure it's probably wrong in some way, shape or form, but he's left the exact line, and it's not, you know, you've not had to put a drill in to start it or anything like that. This is probably day one, week one for a lot of people, but I'm amusing myself. That's all that matters. This is my build, it's my van. That isn't bad, that. That isn't bad at all. That, with a little bit of sanding or routering, is decent. There is nothing in that, so by the time it's routed, that should have just that tiny little bit of gap. Basically, that is just going to be a little access panel, like that. Lovely job. Rinse and repeat what I've done there to here, and this one. So that's the end cupboard. I'm not sure if I'm going to put the water pump in there or just have it as a cupboard. And this one here is where the wheel arch is. So again, another nice piece of storage space. So just marking this every which way, and then we'll go around with the jigsaw again. Once this is done, there's nothing else that needs cutting out of this panel. So then we can look at putting the pieces in to the van itself that are going to be structural, that are going to keep this absolutely solid. Then we can make all three of these pieces together in the trim, put them up to the bits that go to make it solid, bolt everything in place, and then all I've got to do is put the magnets and hinges onto this, and this side's done. Just pieced it in at the minute, nothing's fastened in. As you can see, this is going to be this side. What I'm planning on doing, there's obviously going to be a piece on here that's going to trim all that up lovely. I'm going to overlap slightly so I can have a light on the underside, lighting that up. On this section here, there'll be the shower outlet, because this is going to be the shower room. And then on this bit here, I have my, I reckon I'm going to put the trauma kit on that, because that should fit nicely, and it's straight in the door as you go in. This section here, as you can see, cut out for a little door there, that's a nice bit of storage, that. And then that section there again, another nice bit of storage. There is room on top of the tank, and I'm 50-50. Do I make a little bit of a hidden cupboard that's under the mattress with a latch, or do I put another long, thin cupboard door in? Answers down below, because I'm 50-50 on that one. But basically, that's where I'm going for that side. Big help from Tony today. We've rattled on with that. All we're going to do now, because we're limited, because it's Tiny's wedding today, and I've got an evening do to go to. So we're going to get some fasteners down here. We can fasten into the kitchen and into the floor on both sides here, into the floor here, and then up on this top bit we're going to look at some sort of bracket system that's then going to go onto these, which are fastened onto the metalwork, and so on, because I'm always mindful that I've cut a great big hole out of the roof of the vehicle, so any bits that I can do to kind of put a bit of rigidity back in it, I'm up for. So that's one side done. And if we can enable Sunday now. Whoa, right, so it's Sunday now. I've had to long this one on a little bit because it's been raining all morning, and I didn't want to be cutting wood and have stuff all over the place if the rain's going to get worse. So this is the bed setup as it is now. There's so much room here without the mattress in. As you can see, we've got these lats on where I have screwed a portion of them down. Not every single one, but a lot of them. And what's basically happening is, these ones are making a bit of noise. As the vehicle moves around and stuff, these can move, flex, do whatever they do, and basically, I'm just not happy with it. The only advantage of these is the awesome ventilation for the mattress. I'd rather have the strength. So lucky for me, I went for a small double. Because I'm always on my own in here, it makes it a large single, if that makes sense. Because it's a small double, it's 4 foot wide, which is the same width as the sheet. Happy days. And then we have got it slightly less, and that's where the pods come in and really do pay for themselves. So we need to cut this sheet down to 175, and then we'll just drop it in. You see how confidently I said we'll just drop it in? Bear in mind, the door is much smaller, so will it go in with a bit of a jiggery pokery and a bit of an angle and stuff, or will this be an absolute blag? And I don't have my very glamorous assistant today as well. So we'll get that put in, so confidently, after we've taken all these lats out, and then that leaves us with one sheet left to do this front fascia and all the shelves and stuff. I'm not too worried about the shelves, I want the front fascia done. So as you could see, you could do it like Vans or a couple of other companies where they build these boxes up ultra strong, and then they'll just have a board that goes across this gap. But with that section there being bolted into the van, these being bolted to it, the wood being bolted on top, and then these boxes being bolted to this as well, it just puts a bit of rigidity back from the pop-top conversion, I think. That'd be a no then. So 2 choices on this. Like Tony says, we either cut this down in the middle and it comes halfway, and the other one comes in from halfway. Absolute doddle. It will go in. I want the single piece though, because I'm stubborn like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm taking out all the bed base. I've taken out the water tank cupboard. Luckily that wasn't fully assembled yet. Then that'll let me go in on a diagonal above the tank, put it into place, and then what I can do is I can lift the bed struts back in, reassemble the cupboards from underneath. Oosh. Ooh, so much easier with an assistant. What an absolute pig that was. So, to get this in, I ended up having to take that little bit of corner out. Unfortunately, it was either compromise it with that little corner out there that you won't see under the mattress, or cut this in half. But the upside is, that is now bomb-proof. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sweep this off, and then what I'm going to do is, because I've seen people put the ventilation holes in these, and they've been mixed matched all over the place and stuff. So I'm going to have a little look at where the struts go across, mark them out, and then kind of do a pattern in between that. One, it's weight saving, which I'm not overly arsed about in this thing, and two, yeah, it's just, if I wet the bed it'll come out somewhere, won't it? So real quick, just cut this piece out here, and I thought, I'll just offer it up, and it slid in. And you know when something holds itself without even being fastened in yet, you're like, what a fit. It's probably 10mm higher than what I wanted, but because it's actually sat so snug on some factory fittings, I'm not going to dick with that. I'm going to take it back out, clean it up, put it back in and fasten it up, because that's wedged beautifully. Look. Probably a little excessive having this many, but I'd rather do it once, if that makes sense. And none of these are particularly strong fixings either, so just multiples of them gives it the strength. Like I said, well, I'm saying that it's wedged pretty firmly in position, but can still bolt Gucci stuff to it and not worry about the pressure now. Just countersinking this ever so slightly. So that's just nicely pulling in there. Right, so it's getting late on. We've got the bedding back in. We've got the board on the side. This cupboard now is just waiting on the doors and the latches. Let me know what you think. Either do I go for latches, or do I just put magnets on it with a little loop to put your finger in and pop it out? I'm thinking magnets, because latches get banged, snapped and all the rest of it. Magnets and magnets, it's pretty hard push to bust them. Keeps everything flash and flush. Keeps everything flush a little bit more as well, I think. So I'm going to end this here. Thank you very much if you got this far. If you're interested in this, hit the subscribe, and then we'll get a part 2 to that, where we get this side done with the electrics, and that's the bit where I'm going to show you the lithium battery, the DC-DC charger, and connecting that up to the front. The solar controller will go in, but not the panels just yet, because I haven't ordered them yet because it's a pop top, and 3000 watt inverter. And we're going to do this to Liam spec, not to Renogy spec.